Ladies and gentlemen, gods and earths, I want to welcome my brother, Amir Muhadith. Y'all might know him as Loon. Peace, my brother. How you, God?
Ain't nothing, man. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I hear
Yeah, you aging slow. Look real hydrated.
you. Now you aging well too, brother. It's just your beard. You got some of that gray up in the beard, but
Yeah. I mean, I was preserved. I've been warehouse for about the past 9. So
yes, you have. We'll talk about all of that. But
yeah.
besides the gray, when I did see you, brother, you were looking quite swole, I must say, quite physically fit, brother. So yes, you're aging quite nicely yourself, my brother.
I appreciate it. Definitely, I
Welcome
appreciate it.
home. Um,
I'm happy to be here.
yeah, man. The people are happy to have you, man. Um, you know, we
Yeah,
kicking
definitely. I
ass.
mean, the embrace has been, you know, you expect some love, you know, especially based on how you gave it. But I could definitely tell you that, coming back to Harlem it was definitely overwhelming. It was it was kind of unfathomable that, so many people, survived the generation, that me and you come from
Facts.
and still, still thriving, still here, you know, still in tune, what I'm saying, with the city, what I'm saying? So it was just a lot of things that, it was a lot to take in. It was just a lot to take in.
Right. Well,
Right.
I'm
Well, I'm,
when I ran into you, it was in Harlem.
yeah.
And you could just feel the love that the streets have for Loon. You a son of Harlem. Um, tell people a little bit about your background, how you grew up. Um, you know, we're gonna
We're
get
gonna get
into
into
our
our
relationship and
relationship. No
why you
question.
wasn't scared to get on high buildings and shit like that and on the roof and hang on the edge and all of that. But let's talk about your beginnings as a young Harlem kid and being exposed to you know
Yeah,
all
well,
of that it entailed in the time that you came up in.
well, I grew up, I was born in the 70s, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, my moms and my pops, I actually come from like 3 generations of very well, established people in the street. My grandfather, he passed away, Rahim Allah, 2 years ago. He was, real tight with Bumpy Johnson. He was 96 years old when he passed.
Mm.
My grandma was 90 years old. She's doing well. My mother and father, they ran with Nicky Barnes, and I grew up in the era.
Wow.
We had the Rich Porters, the AZs, the Fritz, and all these, individuals who were impactful, during that time. So, I grew up in a generation where, Harlem was Harlem, you know, and it was like, being a part of a sixth borough. I grew up in the sixth borough.
Right.
Harlem, saying we didn't consider ourselves Manhattan. We considered
Right.
ourselves Harlem.
Because y'all had your own swag.
Exactly. We had our own swag, our own identity. We had our own, you know, legacy, history, so on and so forth. And I think that everybody who, was born and raised in Harlem was an embodiment of all those things. And it showed, you know, and like growing up in this in the town where hustling was just, it was just mandatory. Harlem bred some of the biggest hustlers, the world's ever known.
Hmm. And
And
some of the biggest gold diggers.
absolutely, I mean, at the time, it used to really mean it really was a symbol of
Sunbow.
some sort to have a Harlem chick. Like, you just had to
Harlem
have one.
broads didn't care if you was good looking and all that type of shit. If
Yeah,
you didn't have no bread, if you didn't
yeah.
have a whip and all that, you was invisible, bro. You
Yeah,
was
no question,
invisible.
no question.
And Harlem dudes was always on a money type of flow. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no
Now,
question.
real quick before we go on, would you happen to have like a pair of headphones or something? Because I'm hearing a slight echo.
Oh, you in the echo?
Just a
Let me
little bit
see.
when I talk. I think it's because are you on a computer or a phone?
I'm on a laptop.
Okay. Could you
Yeah.
is it possible that you have
Let me
some
see.
headphones?
Let me see.
I just want to make it as quality for the people as possible.
Cause I'm a throwback dog. All this like technology stuff, I'm still catching up. Cause I got AirPods. I'm gonna see if I can.
Oh yeah, you can connect the AirPods. That would be ideal. So let's get back to we were just talking about you grew up in Harlem, your family was cool with Nicky Bong and Bumpy Johnson and what's the building you grew up in? What block is that?
Yeah, I grew up in Esplanade.
Esplanade. Oh, come on, man. The
Yeah.
Esplanade. First of all, that's virtually like where you lived at was in walking distance of Rooftop, S&S,
Yeah.
Willie Burgers,
Yeah.
um, the Polo Grounds, the Ruckers and all of that. Like, sheesh, that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Esplanade
prime real
development.
estate right there. Tell me
Yeah.
what it was like to
Real
grow up
estate.
specifically in that area of Harlem.
Well, I mean, everything surrounding Esplanade was, was unlike Esplanade. Esplanade was a co-op development. I mean, my grandmother, my grandfather, they was able to foot the bill from hard work. You know what I'm saying? Unlike, a lot of majority of the kids there, their parents had, good state jobs, government jobs, stuff like that. So it was perceived as a place, what I'm saying, where you had privilege, kind of
Mm,
like Strawman's Row. But,
facts.
my grandmother, she used to spend about 17 hours a day standing on her feet doing hair. My grandfather, he was a military man, gambling man, used to stay in the gambling spot. Everybody knew Johnny Hawkins, and they earned the right to be an astronaut. So I think a lot of the things that I dealt with growing up was, my grandparents they tried to give me the best, you know, because my parents didn't raise me. So growing up in Esplanade was definitely a benefit. But once you step outside of Esplanade, you're in the deepest, darkest Harlem right there. You know what I'm saying? You got 148th Street right across the street, 147th Street, 149th. All these was known blocks. You know what I'm saying? These were blocks where it was known, you know what I'm saying, to go there.
Yeah, the
Then you have
train station right there.
146, yep. You got the last stop on the three trains,
Mm-hmm.
148th Street. You got some rough schools. You got IS-10, PS-200. You know, all of that is official. You got Harlem River Projects over there. You know what I'm saying? You had Dunbar, Hunt
Shit, you
50.
mad close to the Bronx too.
Yeah, definitely.
Get
You
damn
right
near
there.
walk to Yankee Stadium.
Absolutely. I used to hear the Yankee game every night from off the terrace. I lived on the 27th floor,
Facts.
which is the top floor. So, we can almost literally look inside Yankee Stadium,
Mm.
you know. So I mean, it's a childhood I wouldn't trade for nothing. It was experiences that I had that, shape and mold, a certain caliber man. You know what I'm saying? And these are things that when I reflect, it just tells me a lot about, first and foremost, what I was able by Allah's permission to survive. You know, we survived the generation. And, that's important to understand. Because, I mean, anybody running around, acting like you here because you wanted or you because you did something. Nah, you survived. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
that's something that constantly heightens my sense of gratitude.